Hello, 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 hello. အားလုံးပဲမင်္ဂလာပါအခုချိန်မှာတော့ဆွေးနွေးချင်တာလေးကဘာလဲဆိုတော့ grade ဒီ advanced grade တွေပေါ့နော်အတန်းကြီးတွေအတွက်ဆရာတို့ unseen passage ဒီ unseen passage မှာတဲ့ဆရာတို့ကအဲဒီ text ထဲမှာပါတဲ့ topics တွေနဲ့နှီးနွယ်ရာဆရာတို့ဟာပေါ့ related articles တွေပေါ့နော် related articles တွေဒါမျိုးတွေဆရာတို့ဟို unseen မှာဆရာတို့မေးတာရှိတယ်လို့ဆရာတို့ကပြောရရင်တော့ကျန်တဲ့ text ဆရာတို့ question ထဲမှာဆရာတို့ကဟိုကိုးပုတ်ပေးတာထဲမှာကိုးပုတ်ပေးတာထဲမှာဆရာတို့နော်အများစုကတော့ဆရာတို့ scene တွေပေါ့question number 5လို့အထီအောင်ပေါ့နော်5 1 to 5ကဒါတော့ဆရာတို့ဘာလဲဆိုတော့read the passage တွေပါမယ် vocabularies တွေပါမယ်နောက် grammar တွေပါတယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါတွေပါမယ်နောက်ပြီး listen and speaking ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဥစ္စာတွေပါတယ်အဲ့တော့ဆရာတို့ unseen ကဘာလို့ဆိုတော့ sixth ဆိုတဲ့ unseen passage ရဲ့နောက်ဆရာတို့letter and essay ပေါ့အဲ့ဒီသုံးဖို့အားတဲ့ဆရာတို့ပြောရရင်လေဟိုတခြားသောဆရာတို့အကြောင်းအရာထက်ဆရာတို့ကိုယ့်ရဲ့ topics တွေကဆိုင်တဲ့အကြောင်းအရာနဲ့ဆက်နွယ်ပြီးတော့အခုဆရာတို့အပြင်စာဆရာတို့ဟိုအပြင်စာတွေဖတ်တဲ့ဆရာတို့အလေးအထားပေါ့နော်ဒါလေးတွေကိုဆရာတို့လေ့လာရမယ်ဒါကဘာလဲဆိုတော့အပြင်စာလေးတွေဆိုတာမှလည်းဆရာတို့အထွေတလူမဟုတ်ဘူးဆရာတို့ဥမာအဲရှာရုခု natural disaster ပေါ့နော် natural disaster ဆိုရင်ဘာရှိမလဲဆိုတော့ရှာရုခုလက်တလောကမ္ဘာနိုင်ငံကြီးတွေမှာရှာရုအခုဆိုရင်ရှာရုတရုတ်မှာရှာရုရေကြီးတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဟူဘေးပြည်နယ်မှာရှာရုရေကြီးတယ်ဆယ်တွေဘာတွေဖြစ်တယ်နောက်ရှာရု climate change တွေပေါ့နော်ရှာရု climate change တွေနဲ့ရှာရုပတ်သက်တဲ့ရှာရုအကြောင်းအရာတွေဒါတွေသားတို့ဘာလို့ဆိုတော့သားတို့သမီးတို့တွေဒီဒီ text ထဲမှာလည်းဒီအကြောင်းအရာတွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့main topics တွေဘာရှိကြတယ်နော်အဲဒါကတော့ text တဲ့သဘောအရ read the passage မှာဆရာတို့ဟာပေါ့နည်းနည်းလေးပဲဟိုပြလိုက်တယ်အခြေခံလောက်ပဲဆရာတို့ theory သဘောတို့အခြေခံတို့လောက်ပဲဆရာတို့ပါမယ်ကျန်တဲ့ဆရာတို့ update ဖြစ်တဲ့ဒီ information တွေပေါ့နော် updated information တွေအဲ့ဒါတွေကဆရာတို့ဘာလဲဆိုတော့အခုပူနွေးနေဆရာတို့နော်ရာသီဥတုပြောင်းလဲမှုကြောင့်ဆရာတို့တဘာဝဘေးတွေအဖြစ်ပြောင်းလဲပြီးတော့ခံစားရတဲ့ဥစ္စာတွေရှိမယ်။နောက်ဆရာတို့ဘာလို့ယောဂဗျာတွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်တာပေါ့နော်။ယောဂဗျာတွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့ဆရာတို့ information တွေရှိမယ်။နောက်ဆရာတို့နောက်တစ်ခုကဘာလို့ဆိုတော့ဆရာတို့ဒီအခုဆရာတို့ text ထဲမှာလည်းပါတယ်ဘာလို့ဆိုတော့grade 3တွေ sorry grade ဟိုထဲမှာ11ထဲမှာ unit 3ထင်တယ်နော် diet and nutrition ဆိုတာနော် diet and nutrition ဆိုတာအဲ့တော့ဆရာတို့ကသူကတော့ text ထဲမှာ diet and nutrition ဆိုတာသူကအခြေခံပဲဆရာတို့ထည့်ပေးထားတာပေါ့နော်အခြေခံပဲဆရာတို့ထည့်ပေးထားမယ်ဆရာတို့ grade sorry ဟောမှာဖြစ်မယ် grade 12မှာဖြစ်မယ် diet and nutrition ဒီမှာဆရာ ERV Dolphin online shopping ဆရာတို့ memory grade 12မှာဖြစ်မယ် grade 12မှာဖြစ်လိမ့်မယ်ဆို night diet and nutrition ဆိုခဏလေးဆရာတို့ကြည့်လိုက်ပါဦးမယ်အဲ့တော့ဒါခုဆရာတို့ diet and nutrition grade 12အဲ့တော့ဒီအခုဆွေးနွေးမှုက grade ဟိုဟာ advanced grade တွေတော့ပေါ့နော်10 11 12တော့ပေါ့အထူးသဖြင့်တော့11နဲ့12အတွက်ဆရာပို့ပြီးတော့အဓိကပို့ပြီးတော့ရည်ရွယ်ပါတယ်ပေါ့နော်ရည်ရွယ်တယ် and synthesis ပြီးရင် letter and essay အတွက်ဆရာတို့ရေးလို့ကောင်းမဲ့အကြောင်းအရာတွေဆရာတို့အဲ့တော့ဆရာတို့ဒီမှာတွေ့လိမ့်မယ် each diet each diet တနည်းအားဖြင့် homegrown way to better health ဆရာတို့ကဘာလဲဆိုရင်ကိုယ့်အိမ်ကိုအိမ်ခြံကထွက်တဲ့အသီးနှံကကျန်းမာရေးအတွက်အဲ့ဒါကိုစားသုံးတဲ့နည်းလမ်းအိမ်ကထွက်တဲ့အိမ်နောက်ဖေးဈေးဆိုင်တွေပေါ့နော်ဆရာတို့အဲ့ဒါကနေထွက်တဲ့အသီးနှံကကိုယ့်အတွက်ကျန်းမာရေးအတွက်ပို့ပြီးတော့ကောင်းတယ်အိမ်မှာကိုယ့်အိမ်ကိုစိုက်ပြီးတော့အဲ့ဒါပြောရရင်တော့ကျန်းမာရေးအတွက်ဆရာတို့ကျန်းမာရေးအတွက်ကောင်းတဲ့သဘောလို့ဆရာတို့တွေ့ရတယ်အဲ့တော့ဆရာတို့ဒီမှာ East Diet a homegrown way to better health အဲ့တော့ဆရာတို့ဒီ Diet and Nutrition ဆိုတဲ့ Grade 12 Unit 3ဥစ္စာကိုဆရာတို့အပြင်ထပ်ပြီးတော့လက်တလောအခြေအနေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ဆရာတို့other information updated information တွေကိုဆရာတို့လေ့လာကြည့်မယ်နော်ဒီမှာပါလဲဆိုတော့ study indicates China's eating coastal eating habits can lower risk of obesity heart disease အဲ့တော့ဆရာတို့ကဒါဟောပေါ့နမူနာပေါ့နော်တရုတ်အရှေ့ပိုင်းကမ်းခြေကနေထိုင်တဲ့သူတွေရဲ့ဆရာတို့နေထိုင်စားတော့မှုဆရာတို့စားတော့မှုအလေးအထားတွေဒီမှာအရှေ့ပိုင်းသူကပြောရင်တော့အရှေ့ပိုင်းဓာတ်စာပေါ့တရုတ်အရှေ့ပိုင်းရဲ့ဓာတ်စာဒါဆရာတို့ဒါနမူနာပေါ့လေသူတို့စီမှာဆရာတို့ဒီမှာတွေ့ရဆိုပြောင်းမှုတွေ့ရတယ်ဆရာတို့ကျန်တဲ့ဆရာတို့ cabbage တွေတွေ့ရတယ်နော်ဒါဆရာတို့မုံလာတုပ်တွေဒီမှာဆိုရင်The East diet is characterized by higher consumption of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, nuts, seafood, and freshwater fish, soy products, mushrooms, and lower intake of refined grains, fried foods, red meat, processed meat, and alcohol. ဟုတ်ပြီနော်ဆရာတို့ဒီမှာသူ articles တွေကိုဆရာဒီဟွာလဲခေါင်းစဉ်တက်ထားလဲ knowledgeable article ဆိုတော့ဘုဒ္ဓရာစီနေမဲ့ဆောင်းပါးတွေနော်အဲ့ဒါတွေကိုဆရာတို့ဘာလဲဆိုတော့ကိုယ့်ရဲ့သင်ခန်းစာနဲ့ဆက်နေတဲ့ updated knowledgeable article ဆိုလို့ပြောချင်တာပေါ့နော် okay ကြည့်အောင်ဆရာတို့ဖတ်ကြည့်အောင် at neighborhood markets in Hangzhou, Xi'an province, summer mornings begin long before the city has fully woken. Stores brim with freshly harvested lotus seed pods, leafy greens glistening with dew, seasonal mushrooms, freshwater fish from nearby rivers and ponds, and tofu and vegetables that have long been staples of local kitchens. For generations, these foods have simply been part of everyday life in the eastern coastal region, south of the Yangtze River. They were never marketed as superfoods or as summer according to a scientifically designed nutrition plan. Rather, they emerged naturally from a landscape rich in waterways, fertile farmland, and a deep respect for the availability of produce. Now, modern science is looking at whether this traditional way of eating may offer important lessons for the future of public health. A study recently published in Nature Health has identified what researchers call the East diet, an eating pattern associated with lower risk of obesity and cardiovascular disease and rooted in the food traditions of China's eastern coastal regions. ဒါတရုတ်အရှေ့ပိုင်းပေါ့နော်ကမ်းခြေဒေသတွေမှာဆရာတို့စားတယ်ဆရာတို့ဓာတ်စာပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါကိုဆရာတို့ East diet ဆိုပြီးတော့ဒီမှာဆရာတို့ prawns တွေလည်းပါတယ် နော်နောက်ပြီးတော့ mushroom တွေလည်းပါတယ်နောက် grapes တွေလည်းပါတယ်နောက် broccoli တွေပါတယ် egg ပါတယ် that each diet is characterized by higher consumption of vegetables fruits whole grains and nuts seafoods and freshwater fish soy products mushrooms and lower intake of refined grains fried foods red meat processed meat and alcohol okay led by Professor Zhu Shankong at Zhejiang University's School of Public Health. The study was conducted in collaboration with the National Institute for Nutrition and Health under the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention and the Neutralized Health Institute. The findings suggest that people who adhere to this diet have to have a roughly 22% lower risk of major advanced cardiovascular events and a 17% lower risk of central obesity. Among men, the protective effect was even stronger with cardiovascular risk reduced by as much as 36%. What makes the discovery even more interesting is that the yeast diet was not created in a laboratory or developed as meat plan. Instead, researchers identified it by analyzing the eating habits of thousands of ordinary people. The study seeks to answer an increasingly important question beyond the Mediterranean diet. Is there a healthy diet deeply rooted in Chinese culture and lifestyle that can also be validated by modern science? You said this question was the starting point of the research. The concept of the East diet was not something we designed ourselves. He said, we didn't begin with a predetermined answer and ask people to follow it. We wanted to see whether a healthier dietary pattern already existed within a real population. A real-world recipe. For decades, discussions about healthy eating habits have largely revolved around the Mediterranean diet. Rich in olive oil, nuts, whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and seafood, the diet has been linked to a lower risk of cardiovascular disease and metabolic disorders, making it one of the most widely recommended dietary models in public health. But China's culinary traditions, food systems, and eating habits differ dramatically from those of the Mediterranean region. From the hearty stews of the Northeast and the spicy cuisine of Sichuan and Chongqing to Cantonese soups and the freshwater specialties of the eastern coastal region. China's food culture is far too diverse to fit nearly into an important framework. If healthy eating should be grounded in everyday life, could China already have its own healthy diet? Seeking answers, routine tend to existing data. The study drew on World, World China, World China cohort, which recruited nearly 10,000 residents from the three urban districts of the Hangzhou between 2016 and 2019. Researchers followed 8,931 healthy adults for an average of 6.3 years. Rather than deciding in advance which foods were healthy, the team employed and supervised clustering approach, allowing patterns to emerge naturally from database on the consumption of 22 food groups. Two major dietary patterns surfaced. Nearly 46.8% of participants fell into one distinct cluster, which researchers named the East diet. The pattern was characterized by higher consumption of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and nuts, and dietary products, and eggs, greater intake of seafood and freshwater fish, more soy products, mushrooms, and starchy root vegetables such as sweet ta- potatoes, taro, and lotus root, and low consumption of refined grains, fried foods, red meat, processed meat, and alcohol. Shiuwi, the report suffers author and a Tautra student at Z Jing University said the logic behind the East diet is straightforward. It's essentially a diet with more plant-based foods, more whole grains replacing refined stamps, a greater a greater diversity of the high-quality protein sources, and less processed food and excessive red meat, she explained. The pattern aligns closely with modern nutritional recommendations, yet it was not invented by nutrition scientists. It has always existed in Chinese daily life, the Shuzu said. What makes a region special? A closer look at diary reveals and mystical characteristics of China's eastern coastal region. Freshwater fish and aquatic products, tofu and other swine foods, bamboo shoots, mushrooms, lotus root, taro, and a wide variety of seasonal vegetables all feature prominently in the dietary pattern. You, being founder of the Michelin two-star restaurant Ji Xin Lao in sound said, "This is highly surprising." The diet, he said, was shaped not by her conscious planning, but by geography and generations of accumulated culinary wisdom. Some places trim modest emphasis on tarir, the combination of soil, climate, and sunlight, and seasonal freshness you said. အဲ့တော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ကအသီးနှံတို့သည်ရေမြေရာသီဥတုရေမြေနေလေရာသီဥတုတွေနဲ့ဆရာတို့ဆက်ဆက်တယ်အဲ့ဒါကို taro 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 call it. In the eastern coastal regions culinary tradition, the changing seasons dictate not only the landscape but also what is poured on the dining table. Spring brings shepherds past Indian calamaris, Indian calamaris and bamboo shoots. Summer offers lotus seafood pots, water caltrops, and tender freshwater delicacies. Autumn is the season of the lake crabs and aquatic produce, while winter features winter bamboo shoots and uh, preserved foods. This seasonal rhythm naturally increases dietary diversity, a characteristics increasingly recognized by nutrition researchers as a hallmark of healthy eating. Modern nutritional science suggests that good health rarely comes from eating a single superfood. Instead, it emerges from a varied and balanced diet. The traditional food culture of China's eastern coastal region appears remarkably consistent with contemporary understandings of the healthy eating. The region's dense network of rivers and lakes has also shaped its protein sources. Unlike many regions where livestock has historically dominated the dinner table, freshwater fish, shrimp, and other aquatic products have long played a central role in local diets. Swine products such as tofu, dry bean cut and tofu sheets further diversity protein intake. What may appear to be ordinary dietary choice today, researchers argue, form the form form the nutritional backbone of the East diet. The study also uncovered a culturally intriguing feature. People adhering adhering to the East diet generally prefer lighter flavors. For many consumers accustomed to heavily seasoned food, light flavors are often associated with blandness. Blandness. You disagrees. People should be able to taste the ingredients itself, he said. He said. Freshness comes from the ingredient. Seasoning should be restrained. This philosophy has long shaped and cuisine, where streaming, braising, poaching, and gentle simmering are widely used to highlight natural flavors rather than mask them. What traditional cooks describe as the Grade10 light, fresh, and smooth, is in essence respecting the ingredients' originalities. Remarkably, remarkably, this uh, culin, uh, cul, sorry, culinary philosophy aligns closely with modern nutritional advice to reduce excessive salt, sugar, and ultra-processed foods. Unlike their Mediterranean diet, which relies heavily on olive oil, China's eastern coastal food culture developed its own form of what might be called subtraction cooking. Another way, preserving natural flavors of while minimizing unnecessary calories and sodium. Microwaves matters. If the culinary traditions explain how the East diet emerged, biomedical science is beginning to explain why it may be beneficial. The researchers found a significant associations between the East diet and 96 circulating blood metabolites. They also identified 21 gut microbiome genera linked to the dietary pattern. Many of these microbes are involved in the fermentation of the dietary fiber and the production of short-chain fatty acids, compounds increasingly associated with reduced inflammation, improved metabolic health, and cardiovascular protection. The study further found higher levels of the several beneficial metabolites among East diet followers, including indole 3 propionic acid IPA, a gut-derived compound that has attracted growing attention for its potential protective efforts against cardiometabolic disease. Together, the findings suggest a biological pathway linking diet, gut microbes, metabolism, and disease risks. Nutritionist Gu Zhaoji was not surprised by the results. Food shapes the gut microbiome, he said. The foods people eat over time select certain microbial, microbial communities, and those microbes in turn influence metabolism. At the same time, Gu cautioned against overinterpreting the findings. This remains an observational study, he said. Further, randomized control trials are needed before causality can be firmly established. Still, he believes that the study's greatest strength lies in its real-world relevance. This, this isn't an idealized dietary intervention design in a laboratory, he said. It reflects what people are actually eating. Seeing a roughly 20% health benefit under real life conditions is already very meaningful. Cost of cost-effective benefits. For ordinary consumers, the value of the yeast diet lies less in complex metabolic pathways than in its particularly. Gu argues that the diet offers not a rigid menu but a set of principles that can be adapted to modern life. One of the most important lessons, he said, is reducing reliance on refined carbohydrates. The East diet incorporates a variety of root vegetables, including sweet potatoes, taro, and lotus root, to replace some of the refined rice and wheat products that dominate many modern diets. This simple substitution can increase fiber intake, stabilize blood sugar levels, and provide fuel for beneficial gut microbes. Meanwhile, tofu, dry bean curd, mushrooms, and other traditional ingredients remain affordable and widely available throughout China. They are among the most cost-effective health foods you can find, Gu said. For young urban professionals increasingly dependent on food delivery services, he recommends focusing on achievable improvements rather than perfection. The first step is finding reliable restaurants, he said. He also encouraged consumers to ensure each meal contains vegetables and quality proteins while limiting fried foods and heavily seasoned dishes. Healthy eating doesn't have to be expensive, nor does it require a complete lifestyle overhaul. Good said. Small changes sustained over time often produce the biggest results. The Chinese model to determine whether the East diet was a unit to Azar, researchers subsequently validated the findings in an independent cohort spanning multiple Chinese cities. The results were strikingly consistent. Both the dietary pattern itself and its association with lower risk of central obesity were replicated across their validation cohort. The findings suggest that the East diet may represent more than a regional eating habit. It could serve as the foundation for the broader Chinese framework for healthy eating. The research team has already extended follow-up data through early 2026 and plans to develop to an ESTIAD scoring system that can be used in future intervention studies and public health assessments. So said the study's significance extends beyond nutrition science. For decades, discussions about the healthy eating in China have often looked outside the country for answers. This research suggests that some of those answers may already exist. within China's own culinary traditions. We can think of the Easter as a Chinese version of the Mediterranean diet, Xu said. But unlike a diet that was designed, this one grew naturally out of the real lives of the Chinese people. From the fish, lotus roots, and swine foods of China's China's eastern coastal region to the metabolomic maps and microbiome analysis of the modern laboratories. The East Island represents more than a new scientific concept. It's a, it's a rediscovery of a way of eating that has existed for generations. One that modern science is only now beginning to measure, understand, and validate. As the dietary habits around the world become increasingly homogenized and chronic diseases continue to rise, the evidence emerging from China's own dining table may offer a new version of the healthy eating for the future. ဒါဆရာတို့ဘာလို့ဆိုရင်ဟို grade 12က diet နဲ့ diet nutrition နဲ့ဆက်တဲ့အခု updated ဆရာတို့ information updated article လေးတစ်ခုဖြစ်ပါတယ်เนาะဒါပါလို့ဆိုတော့တရုတ်ဘက်ကเนาะ East diet ဆို the East diet ဆိုတာအရှေ့ပိုင်းစားစာပေါ့အရှေ့ပိုင်းတက်စာပေါ့เนาะအဲ့ဒါကဘာလို့ဆိုတော့ကျန်းမာရေးအတွက်သူကျန်းမာရေးရှုထောင့်ဘက်ကအမြင်တွေကိုဆရာတို့ဒီမှာ articles မှာသူ့ရဲ့ researchers တွေပေါ့ nutritionist တွေပါเนาะဆရာတို့ nutritionist တွေကသူတို့တွေဆရာတို့ research လုပ်ထားတဲ့ဥစ္စာတွေကိုဒီ article ဆဲမှာအခု updated article ဖြစ်တယ်ဒါဘာလဲဆိုတော့ဆရာတို့ကခုနကပြောတဲ့ essays တွေ letters တွေနောက်ပြီးတော့ essay passage တွေ question number 6 8 and 9အတွက်အထောက်အကူဖြစ်စေပါလိမ့်မယ်ဟုတ်ပြီနော်ဆရာဒါဘာလဲဆိုတော့နောက်တစ်ခုကဆရာတို့ဘာလဲဆိုတော့အဲဆရာတို့ ARE dolphin နဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့ဟာနော် ARE dolphin နဲ့ dolphin တွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့ဥစ္စာလေးကိုဆရာတို့ဆက်ပြီးတော့ပြောလိုပါတယ်ဆိုတော့ဒီဆရာတို့ article လေးပေါ့နော်ဒါကဆရာတို့ဘာလို့ဆိုတော့သူနဲ့ဆက်သူကဘသူပဲသင်ခန်းစာနဲ့ဆက်ဆက်တော့ grade 11ဆရာတို့ dolphin တွေထဲမှာပါတယ်ဘာလဲဆိုတော့ sorry crustacean 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 เนาะအဲ့ဒီဥစ္စာလည်းပါတယ်သူကသုံးမျိုးပေါ့ဆိုတော့ crabs တွေလည်းပါတယ် lobster တွေပါတယ်သူသင်ခန်းစာတွေမှာပေါ့နော်အဲ့တော့ဒီကောင်အနီရောင်ဆရာတို့အနီရောင်ဆရာတို့ကဏ္ဍန်းတွေပေါ့ဒါတွေနဲ့ rise of a res crustacean crustacean နဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ဆရာတို့ဒီမှာဆရာတို့ article discussion တွေ့တယ်အဲ့ဒါလေးကိုဆရာတို့ဖတ်ပါမယ်နော် Both details are high crayfish. Once considered pesky foreign invaded, invaders successfully transformed into a highly lucrative national midnight snacks, Li Yinxiang reports. အဲ့တော့ဒီမှာဆရာတို့အဲ့တော့ခုနကတော့လည်းဆရာတို့ဟိုအစာဟာရနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့အခုကတော့ဆရာတို့ဘာလို့ဆိုရင်dolphin ARE dolphin တွေကဆရာတို့ဒါလည်းဆရာတို့ဘာလို့ဆိုတော့နီယောင်ဒီကဏ္ဍန်းတွေပေါ့နော်ဒါတွေဆရာတို့ဆရာတို့များဆဆရှိလာခဲ့တဲ့ဥစ္စာနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးဆရာတို့ဒါတွေကိုသူရဲ့အစားအစာပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာဒါ article တစ်ခုအနေနဲ့ဆရာတို့တွေ့ရတယ်ပေါ့ As summer settled in, cities across China come alive after dark in a familiar ritual. In alleyways, night markets and roadside stalls. ရှာညစီတန်းပေါ့နော် Vivid red quickly takes over the tables. မြန်မြန်ဆန်ဆန်ပဲဆရာတို့ဘာလို့ဆိုရင်ဇပွဲပေါ်တွေကိုရောက်လာတယ်တဲ့ဘာလဲဆိုတော့ဒီ vivid red quickly takes over the tables. Trays of spicy crayfish paired with color beer have to become one of the defining signatures of the Chinese summer night. From Qingjing in Hubei province to the Xiu Yi and Jianshu, from the Yangtze River Delta to northern cities and even western night markets, crayfish have long outgrown their regional roots. They are now a nationwide nighttime staple woven into everyday urban life. Yet the story of this small crustacean reaches far beyond the Diner tier. Crayfish are not native to China. The species that now enters a multi-billion yuan industry first arrived as an outsider. Its journey from ecological stranger to cultural temple raises a larger question. How did it become so deeply embedded in Chinese daily life and what has it reshaped along the way? ပဇွန်ပေါ့နော်ဆရာတို့ပဇွန်မျိုးစားပေါ့နော်ဆရာပဇွန်မျိုးစားဆရာတို့ crustaceans the recent boat crayfish already နော် temptation and ethnography of the place marketing and agricultural transformation in China by Sydney Chor Chin Hong and Dialing sets out to answer this question. Drawing on nearly 20 years of fever, the book follows crayfish from rice paddies to dinotivores, tracing how they have to reshape the landscapes, livelihoods, and local economics. An associate professor as an associate professor at the Center for Social Science, Southern University of Science and Technology puts it from New Orleans in the United States of Hokkaido in Japan and the Yangtze River Delta in China. The book is based on empirical research tracing how crayfish evolved from an invasive outsider into a defining culinary symbol of Nanjing and the surrounding region. Beyond consumption, the authors moved into the field, revealing the production logic and ecological practice of rice crayfish co-cultivation, weaving together mobility, identity, and the shaping of taste, she says. In that sense, the book is less about food itself than about how food moves through society and how intent it changes the systems that produce it. Began observing he began observing crayfish more than ဆရာတို့ကဒီဥစ္စာကပဇွန်က crayfish ပေါ့နော် crayfish အမျိုးအစားဖြစ်တယ် more than 2 decades ago. He found that their rise had less to do with chance than with China's wider social transformation. As millions of rural workers moved into cities, they carried with them a strong preference for both spicy flavors from Sichuan and Hunan cuisines. With its standard flesh and ability to soak up rich seasonings, crayfish proved a natural fit for their shift in taste. နော်ဆရာတို့ crustaceans နော်ဆရာတို့ဟို Bazoon lo, Sharo Ganan lo, Sharo, no? Sharo now Kin, no? Hello, Kongo, Sharo, Diare. Suyi was among the first places to turn that preference into an industry. In the 1990s, crayfish were still regarded as low-value aquatic animals. That changed when the local chefs began cooking them with a rich blend of spice, spe- uh, s- s- spices that became known as 13 spice crayfish. Many people say Shui crayfish became famous not because of the crayfish itself, but because of the tartin spice. What emerged was not just a dish, but a new kind of sheer flavor experience. Bold, sticky, and made for gathering around a table. Local governments quickly turned that success into a defining city brand. Festivals, branding campaigns, and tourism projects transformed Xuyi into the crayfish capital, attracting investment and reshaping the local economy around a single ingredient. If Xuyi shows how crayfish became a brand, Jeans reveals how they evolved into a production system. Here, farmers once saw crayfish as a problem because they burrowed into a rice field and damaged ceilings. The turning point came when local practice shifted to rice crayfish co-cultivation, allowing both rice and crayfish to thrive on the same land. What began as tree and error gradually became a stable farming border. Crayfish feed on weeds and plankton, while their movement and weeds have fertilized the rice. A single field now produces both grain and seafood, turning conflict into mature benefit, according to Chiong. For many farmers, the benefits have been immediate and tangible. In Queen Jean, even small plots can generate steady annual income, often enough for families to stay in their hometowns rather than seek migrants work elsewhere. He fasting he sorry harvesting is concentrated into short seasons while earnings have become more reliable. Around this farming model, a wider industrial change has taken shape. Processing plants freeze, season, and package crayfish for year-round consumption. Logistics, logistics networks connect farms to cities within hours. What was what was once a seasonal rural product has become a nationwide supply system. She notes that crayfish farming has also expanded beyond its traditional southern base. With technical adaptation, it has spread into colder northern regions, where it follows a different agricultural calendar. In July and August, one growth slows in the Yangtze River region because of the high temperatures. Northern areas are entering their peak season, he says. That seasonal upset has created a continuous supply chain across different regions. In places like Harbin, capital, capital of northeast China's Heilongjiang province, rice fields now produce both grain and crayfish. ဆရာတို့ level နေထဲမှာဆရာတို့ပစုံเนาะဒီလိုပစုံမျိုးကိုဆရာတို့ crayfish တွေကိုဆရာတို့เนาะထည့်ပြီးတော့ level နေကြထဲမှာမွေးနေတဲ့ပုံစံမျိုးပေါ့ extension in geography and the economics of what was once a regional regional specialty. Today, crayfish are more than a popular dish in China. They reflect broader changes in how food is produced, transported, and shared, while offering a glimpse into the continuing evolution of Chinese cuisine. For sure, the most interesting features is not just the species popularity at home, but also its potential abroad. Unlike earlier waves of Chinese food that travel with migrants, crayfish come with a highly standardized system of farming, processing, and production that is easier to scale internationally. In recent years, Chinese crayfish have already appeared in overseas contexts, from cross-border shipments to international sporting events and a growing number of restaurants. Each new destination adds another chapter to their remarkable story. What began as an introduced species has become part of the national rhythm of farming, dining, and commerce. Today, crayfish are gradually finding a place on the global stage, not just as a dish, but as a blueprint for how food can connect production, culture, and communities across borders. ဒါဆရာတို့ဘာလို့ဆိုဒီနှစ်ပုဒ်ကိုဆရာတို့သင်နေကြတယ်ဆရာတို့နောက်ပြီးနောက်တစ်ပိုင်းမှာတော့ဆရာတို့ဘာလို့ဆိုရင် AI နဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့ဆရာတို့ AI နဲ့ပတ်သက်တာเนาะအဲ့ဒါလေးကိုဆရာတို့ဆက်ပြီးတော့ဆွေးနွေးပြီးမယ်နောက်ပြီးတော့ natural disaster ဖြစ်တဲ့ earthquakes တွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့အကြောင်းเนาะဆရာတို့အဲ့ဒါလေးတွေဆက်ပြီးဆွေးနွေးပေးပါမယ်ဆရာတို့ဒီဘက်မှာတော့ဒီလောက်နေပဲဆရာတို့နားပါအားလုံးကိုကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်